From the great halls of their house, there are assembled three who hope to one day be the world's greatest driving heroes. Created from the cosmic legends of the universe comes our team captain, the Vision, Bill Fisher, and their soon-to-be Wonder Woman, Vicky Fisher, and our Captain Marvel and head flight trainee, Jennifer Scripchuk. Their mission: to fight injustice, share what is right and wrong, to get you out of your house and come out racing with them and serve all mankind. They are the Garage Heroes in training team.
Miss Audra, you are the expert of the day.
Oh shit.
Yes, she
Which
is.
Are you ready for the hard questions, the probing insight, the depth
Did you
of
send a
knowledge?
spreadsheet? Is there a spreadsheet, or are you just like, we're winging this?
Well,
Oh,
we have a
you did
spreadsheet.
share a spreadsheet. Look at that. You're hilarious.
Yep.
All right. See what you got here.
You
My
know.
background and experience.
Mhm.
None.
Yeah. Okay.
Cost exorbitant. Driver requirements. Obviously, the bar is pretty low.
Bar is low. That's why we have
So
a
wait a
chance.
minute. Is this like a dominating with Dawson but autocross?
All right.
You ready to
Okay.
roll?
Sure.
I am.
All right. Very well. Welcome to the Garage Heroes and Training Podcast. I'm going to be the best.
What?
I don't know. I got tongue tied and I just went fast. Anyway, who else is hosting?
I'm Vicky.
And I'm Audra.
And I'm a horrible intro. Miss Audra,
Yeah.
we've got an episode planned right in your wheelhouse.
That's good.
Oh, wheelhouse. Ha ha.
Wheelhouse. See what I
Ha
did?
ha. Ha ha.
Dad joke. Check. Miss Audra, you have partaken in one particular aspect of high performance driving for a couple days, and we thought it was about time for us to start talking about what we call the gateway drug to racing.
It is a gateway drug.
It is a gateway drug.
That's right. It's almost, the first one's almost free. We're
And
talking
it can also be a
autocross.
long time endeavor.
It can be, and you can do
Yeah.
it pretty much anytime you want. There's always one almost every weekend within driving
Yes.
distance.
Mm.
For those who haven't already figured out, gateway drug to racing is
Autocross.
Autocross.
Miss Audra.
Mm.
You've got a little bit of background, a little bit of experience, both behind the wheel and behind the scenes. Care to tell everybody some of your autocross related exploits that you've done?
There are no exploits. I'm very tame, really.
Yeah.
Don't have any interesting stories.
No.
Nothing has really happened over the years.
Nope. Not
So
once.
so just for the record, like I only do like regional clubs.
You
I
went to
did a
nationals
pro
once,
solo
right?
once.
See?
That was my only pro solo. I've been saying for 7 years since that I'd like to go back, but just haven't been able to make that happen. I've never gone to nationals. And most of the time I don't get to do SCCA because it's the wrong weekends for me. So I really participate in the local Boston BMW CCA. There's a club called Renegade Miata, and there's a couple of Porsche clubs that occasionally I get to drive with. So that is that's the bulk of my experience. Just want you to know that it is somewhat limited, although long term, but limited venue.
Well, I think you've got a few laps around your home race of Devon. Is that correct?
Devon's, yep, former Army base where there is an airfield that we've been using. Well, I've been going there for 18 years, and they had it probably 10 years prior to that. So they've had that for a long time.
Kind of surprising up near you because most people complain about anything fun.
Well, don't think there aren't any complaints. This year there's additional sound requirements, and so it's getting tougher. It's always getting tougher. With any motorsport, it's constantly under attack for the noise factor.
Yeah. Well, it's like the people who buy a house right on the highway or buy a house right near the airport, and then they're like, "Oh, this is really loud." Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hard to see that right over there. Anyway, so Miss Audra, we wanted to talk about autocross. We were going to go to a local autocross, and things just didn't happen. But that's okay. We were going to do this. We were talking about how to prep and everything, and we figured, who do we know who's dumb enough to come on our podcast and knows a little bit about autocross? And we immediately thought of you.
Uh, sure, sure, sure.
All right.
It's still a kid-friendly show, so
I know. It pains you sometimes. I know it does.
it does.
So when we first started going through this, one of our jokes about autocross, we have several. We'll go through them all, I'm sure, before this episode is done. Was we started looking at the SCCA and we were like, we want to do autocross, and all they had was this thing called solo, and we're like, we're not that good. We want to get some instruction. We're not ready to drive by ourselves. But the SCCA calls it solo. So can you,
Mm.
in case people aren't familiar with autocross, what is autocross in a nutshell?
Well, it's a technical driving event where you would negotiate around some, if depending on where you are, pylons or orange cones. The courses are set up on parking lots and airfields and anywhere we can, really. And you have to
Mhm.
negotiate through it as quickly as you can without knocking over any of the cones.
Ugh.
A lot
What
of
happens
hard
if you do?
braking, hard turning. Well, it's a 2-second penalty.
Ah,
So the club that I go to, Renegade Miata, they have Kenny cones out dispersed amongst their cones, usually just one or two. And that is 3 seconds and $2. Oh, wait a minute. 2 seconds and $3, something like that. But they pay. You have to pay if you knock one of them over.
they don't have like
So
a magic
so what
cone that you could
happened?
subtract or anything?
So what happens if one of those cones take a ride with you under your car? That's me.
I should ask them that. I don't know if you pick up a Kenny cone and bring it back with you, what they'll do. Maybe it's $5. I don't know.
Bonus for a ride along, whatever.
It's kind of funny though.
Miss Vicky successfully did
Several.
several cones. Decided to take a ride and see what the rest of the track looked like when she was going.
Ah,
Yeah, it was fun. It was a
Mhm.
fun day.
Mhm. So Vicky and I have never done a true autocross. We've only done Evo school many
oh,
times.
well, Evo School is kind of a true autocross.
Yeah, but it's not a competition. I mean, they keep track of time, but it's more or
That's true,
less whatever.
right?
And you're supposed to learn how to do it. Unfortunately, we learned how to do it, I don't know, 4 years ago, maybe more. So we probably forgot everything we were learning. So we thought it'd be a good time to refresh ourselves. So if you're autocrossing, do you need a fully caged car? Do you need a fire suppression system? Do you need a
You don't
helmet?
need anything. You need a car. What
Car?
you
Okay.
need is a car
Okay.
within certain requirements. You don't want something that it will easily roll over. So for the clubs that I drive with, there are some requirements, like certain SUVs wouldn't be allowed. But if you have a Porsche Macan, that is actually allowed.
But if you have a what?
Porsche
Porsche.
Macan
Oh, okay.
are surprisingly really good at autocross. One of my teammates has one, and that's his rain car for autocross. So
Oh,
that's kind of cool.
I didn't realize I had to
Um,
have a rain car for my autocrossing.
yeah,
Oh
most
no.
of us don't. Most of us, most of us don't even have rain tires. But aside from that,
I was packing for the autocross. I realized I didn't have a rain coat. So that was part of the fun. But we'll get there.
yeah. So you need a car.
Okay.
You need
Helmet?
a car that has good tires on it, meaning that there's no bubbles, no cracks, nothing like that. Nothing that could cause you danger out there. You should have a decent brakes, like your brakes should be working.
Always helpful.
Um, yeah. So there's not really that much that is required. We have a list of things that we go through to inspect. When you come to an autocross, we make sure that your wheels are torqued. We do check your tires. We'll check to make sure that there's no play in the wheels. We check your seatbelts to make sure your seatbelts will actually lock when jammed quickly. Some of the other things, the belts, no leaking fluids. We'll check your gas cap, make sure that that's tight, so you're not leaking, any gas as you're flying around the autocross course at high rates of speed. Rates of speed. Um, So, you know,
Relatively high rate.
there are certain things that we will check. It's not just like, you know, anything goes. There is a safety requirement, but you don't need harnesses. You would use your regular seat belts. You don't need a cage. You know, convertibles, you do need a helmet and
Okay.
closed-toed shoes.
Oh, okay.
We do joke during our drivers' meetings that, you know, but naked, we don't care, but closed-toed shoes and a helmet are required.
That's pretty funny.
There's that most of the people I see at the track, that's not going to make me want to go to these events, Audra, but okay.
Yeah, we had somebody actually think they're funny and went around with no shirt on, only, you know, we weren't really sure if there was a shirt or not. So, you know, not recommended.
I think we lost Vicky. She might be back in the next 4 questions or so. I don't know, maybe.
I'm good.
Okay, you keep fighting it. What about driver's license required? What about a permit,
Oh,
like a
yes.
driver's license permit?
Mhm.
Yep, licensed driver, only. I don't know any that allow permits.
Okay.
So you do have to be licensed. I can't remember. Some clubs require 18 years old. Some clubs will allow 16 years old as long as it's a licensed driver. And then
Mhm.
for like ride-alongs, if they allow ride-alongs, it's usually 16 years old that's required. Sometimes it's a height requirement though, which makes me nervous for
Mhm.
obvious reasons.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, you know, not all of us are 7'3".
Right?
I know.
Mm. So, when it comes to the instructors, do you need, what are they available? Are they ride-alongs or are they a good idea?
So all the clubs that I go to actually do have instructors available, and most of them will require novices to take instructors, at least until we know that nothing silly is going to happen, you know, that you can get yourself around the course without doing, you know, any shenanigans or anything foolish. So, yeah, but there are instructors available at all the clubs that I go to. I instruct at a couple of clubs, and it's you know, I think that we provide at least some decent amount of instruction. And then there's
Mhm.
for at least 3 of the clubs that I know of in our area, they do some like low-key schools. So you can
Oh.
go and actually get an instructor for the day, and they do exercises in the morning and then a full course in the afternoon, which is pretty great.
Sounds like fun. One of the things that I got lost in was the one I was going to go to was an SCCA one. So at all the different clubs that run autocrosses, they all have like slightly different requirements due to either them or the insurance company, one or the other, or the place where it's being held. The hardest thing I was having trouble with was trying to figure out what level my car was.
So what
Hmm.
class your car falls into?
Yes.
So car classification for FCCA, there's a manual that you would actually go into. You would find your car and it would tell you what class it is, and then it would tell you, depending on what you've done to it, where that puts you. So if you've done certain modifications to it, they'll put you in like, you know, modified, or there's street classes like street touring, but it's very specific as to if you put a sway bar in, this puts you here. If you put like wider wheels on, this puts you here. For, you know, my primary club, BMW, there's different rules for BMWs than there are for everybody else. For everybody else, we follow like SCCA rules. For BMWs, because it's BMW club, we have a list of things that you're allowed, and we have points. So many points, and you would be bumped up to a different class.
Does a
But
Mini
it's very
count as a
club
BMW?
specific, and you would have to reference what they have out there. SCCA is probably easiest to well, I wouldn't say that. BMWs for BMW are probably the easiest that I know of, but SCCA is pretty easy. It's very specific, so it's, you know, pretty clear.
Is a BMW, I mean, is a Mini a BMW or is a Mini
We
not
consider a Mini to be a BMW, yes.
okay.
Really? Well, I
Yep,
know
with them.
why, but
What about a Supra, a new Supra?
No, actually, they're not. They're classed in SCCA classes.
Hmm.
hmm.
I don't know about that. Okay.
So who designs the courses?
We got a guy.
I know it. I know a
Thanks,
guy.
Sue.
I know a guy.
So it's just-
And
There
are
are
you able
people
to
that
study it ahead of time, or is it just a one-off as soon as you show up, there it is?
no, it is not available ahead of time. We do have, usually two or three people that are out there designing the course. Some of them actually design their courses on paper ahead of time. We have one person who does it. He's been doing it for many, many years. And he just goes out there and just throws out cones and, it winds up being amazing. So it's pretty cool. But they've all been kind of trained on the job. Like it really is
Hmm.
on the job training, but there are some educational resources that are out there for people who do course designing that they can go to like conferences and things like that to increase their knowledge, maybe design things a little differently.
Can you make a bad course?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sounds like a story time, Miss Audra.
Oh, this is so terrible. We had a course so bad one time. We never let that person do another course. It was so labor intensive that, I mean, I got reruns and I was like, no, I'm not taking them. And then after so many runs, I gave up and I just went and sat down. And my shoulders were sore the next day from the course. It was just terrible. And some courses, obviously, like some flow better than others. Some are a little bit more work, some are more technical, some are less technical. And that's the fun of autocross is that it is always different. It is always, always different. You may have the same elements, but they're never set up the same. So every time you have to figure out like the best line getting through it. So it's a little bit of a mind exercise as well.
So how long is the Devon course?
Evidence is 1 mile, which is, pretty great.
Wow.
Yeah. If you do the Evans courses, like the really, really good drivers are doing like 60 seconds or something.
Hmm.
And then, parking lot autocrosses are like what, like 30 seconds,
Mhm.
like moving around. So, but there are some, downsides to doing the airfield because it's a square, basically a
Mhm.
square, maybe a rectangle. But so that limits some of the elements that they can set up. Things that you would find in a parking lot, like, we don't get a lot of pivots. And pivots are fun.
Vicky
depending on
hates
who you talk
pivots.
to. Mm.
Pivots, yeah.
Do you ever think, and with all this vast experience, just listen to me about this layout here. So we go to Devon's and we make on a 1/4 mile slalom. And then we turn around like maybe, I don't know, whatever, however you want to turn around. And then we Chicago box back a little bit and just work our way back. 1/4 mile out, 1/4 mile back, but all slalom the whole way. First one.
That's the concept.
So,
You'd
what
get
is
good at it by then at the end.
describe a typical day?
So, yeah, typical day, you show up, usually the gates open around 7. You empty every single thing out of your car, just like you would do at a track day. You don't want anything that could turn into a projectile. You take your floor mats out, all of that. Then sometimes there's some type of registration. Some of the clubs you are already registered in advance. There'll be a driver's meeting that tells you the do's and don'ts. They'll give you your work assignments. So usually it's you work once in the morning and once in the afternoon. Depending on how it's structured, SCCA usually does 3 run groups. So it's like run, work, rest. Some of the other clubs, it's like run, work, or work, run, depending on where you fall. Maybe there's a break and then you do it again in the afternoon. But they all do require you to work at some point during the day. Usually it's shagging cones, which is kind of fun. You just stand out there and watch cars go by and occasionally run and pick something up. So, yep, and that's about it. At the end of the day, some of the clubs actually will do awards,
Mm-hmm.
right there, glasses and things like that. That's it in
So,
a nutshell.
so if I'm shagging cones
Hmm.
and I get to choose where I go, one, where should I go? Like what type of element should I go to learn something? And two, what element do I want to go when it's late in the day and I don't feel like ever picking up a cone?
So generally speaking, you don't get to choose where you go. They choose for you so that it's a little bit more organized that way. We don't have people clustered around the easy elements.
They already read my plan.
Yeah, sorry. At the schools, people just kind of wander out and go wherever, and we just spread everybody out.
Yeah, that's what we did.
Yeah.
So if you were to try to learn, which one would you want to be doing?
I would want to pick a different location in the morning and in the afternoon to make sure that I was getting a variety of experience.
Okay. Sounds good. What about the first thing in the morning, the track walk? Why would I bother doing that?
So because the course is different every single time, every time you go to a track and you do a track walk, a track that you've done, you want to kind of memorize the course a little bit, see where the lines are, plan out where you'll be driving, so you have some knowledge of the course once you get out there. If you do, I did one pro solo, and I stressed that it was only one, but we did the track walk, I don't know, for hours until you really had everything memorized, because there's no opportunity once you start driving to do that again.
What about cone codes?
Cone codes.
Like,
So the cones tell you where to go.
Mm-hmm.
but how do I know? Like, if I'm coming to a slalom and they're all in a straight line, how do I know whether my first one's a left or a right, or does it matter?
Sometimes you don't. So usually not usually, but one of the elements that they'll do is a lay down cone, and where that cone is pointing, you want to go to the other side of that cone. So it'll actually, the pointy end is telling you to go to that side.
Okay.
Sometimes there'll be optional elements where you can, choose your own path. And, that can be tough because it can be an easy out, but an easy in and then a hard out, or a hard in, but then an easy out, and you have to determine which one will give you more speed. There's gates. So they'll have one cone and one cone. You have to go through the middle. It's a gate. The Chicago box is basically a slalom with some visual distraction. We had a course designer that would do a V box, which is kind of a modified Chicago box. Again, just a slalom with a lot of visual distraction. Is slaloms, it's just like a lengthy, like snaky route that you go through.
Quarter mile. Quarter mile slalom.
We do that actually at the schools. We usually have a slalom go up and then a slalom come back. One is increasing distance or decreasing distance, depending on how you do it.
Do they ever vary the distance between the cones on a slalom?
Yes. Yep.
Evil.
Yeah.
So when we're doing track days or of the likes, there are preferred cars. Does autocross have preferred cars?
Your preferred car is what makes you happy. And I would say that's any application. We are seeing some Miata people go now to like Honda, what is it, the Type R?
Type R, yeah. Civic Type R, yeah.
Civic Type R. There's, obviously I go to Miata Club and there's a lot of Miatas there. BMW, it's probably about half BMWs, and then there's a mixture of things, but it's it's so varied. You see a lot of cool things out there, but I wouldn't say that there's a preferred car except for the club that you're at. Porsches, you're gonna see a lot of Porsches.
Yeah, when somebody said that they did it in a Corvette, I have a difficult time imagining a Corvette doing an autocross.
Oh no, Corvettes are awesome. Corvettes are
really
like driving a Miata but with power.
Oh, okay.
You think that it's so big that it's not going to get through, but that's not true at all. They're
really
very nimble. I've actually been lucky enough to drive a couple, and they're super fun.
Really? That's interesting.
I'm obsessed with slaloms today. So, do they vary the spacing of a slalom in the same slalom, or is it just different spacing?
Oh my gosh.
Oh no, you can have a slalom that's actually like it decreasing. So it's wider at the beginning, and then as you get towards the cones at the end, it's a smaller space in between. So that it tightens up on you. So you really need to like plan your speed and do that. Sorry, they're mowing at my place.
Can't hear you.
You can hear that.
Nope.
Apologize.
I can hear fine.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't hear any background. You're good.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Sorry about that. Yeah, so they could have it, so it's increasing, which is more rare because it's more challenging if the space in between gets smaller rather than larger.
Evil people.
Oh, it's fun.
Okay. All right. All right, Audra. Story time. Did they ever
Mm.
make a course too small that you just couldn't make the turn without doing a J turn or something?
Yeah, yeah, it's happened. It's vile and brutal and evil. And then there's some courses that are just so technical and you really need to just set up so well. And it takes a lot of skill to get through them.
So we did an autocross like parentheses around it. And it was an autocross on a racetrack. But at the end, I don't know what the element would be called. At the end, they had the finish line, 2 cones, but then they had 2 more cones, and you had to stop inside that box.
Stop box.
Ah, that's pretty creative. You have to stop inside the box. So I was going to say,
You
what do
had
they
to get
call
it
it?
in
But
perfectly.
Hmm?
You had to get it in perfectly.
yeah, if you went out, you got like 5 seconds or something.
Yeah, that's challenging and fun, isn't it?
Not the first time I've ever done it.
No, I've done that before, and it is like it's hilarious because you really have to you don't want to give up speed too early because you're gonna lose time, but you don't want to brake too late because you're gonna blow your blow your stopping and like exceed the box.
We had one guy in our group, he was doing it and he stopped too early. Like he didn't stop early, but he came to a stop early and the clock just kept moving and he had to restart the car and pull forward and then it stopped and he was quite unhappy. I thought it was hilarious.
That's tough. It's fun though. I like that. It's a good challenge.
Yeah, we had a couple people at the Evo school who kind of lost it after they went through. I mean, they made it through, but the car went after, so that wasn't too much fun.
They have at the what do they call them? Oh my gosh. I can't think of the name at the moment, but it's they have like the skid pad and you do all of these exercises and they do the lane change exercise that there's the person standing in front of you and they just point and you have to get to that lane and bring the car to a full stop. I always thought that person was crazy.
Yeah, it sounds like it. With some of the people on our team, and they definitely are.
So how long does a typical range last? Or a field?
For a typical course, I would
Yes.
say anywhere from like 30 to, a minute or more. For us at Devon's, we're lucky that it's on the far end of that, because it's such a big course, but you can have like 30 seconds or, there's bigger venues like they've used Brunswick Airfield and there's an airfield in Loring, Maine that they've done. And I guess those courses were just huge.
Really?
Yeah.
I know
Sounds
the
fun.
one in Lincoln.
Unfortunately, I've never made it up for them.
I think the Lincoln one's supposed to be big, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
Nebraska, in case people think I'm talking about the president. So yeah. He had tall legs, so they would have been good for a slalom.
Yeah, that's where the nationals are annually.
So if I'm new to autocross, what are my most typical errors going to be?
Oh, well, new to autocross, your typical errors. First of all, it depends on some people will come out and think that they are going to go very, very fast and completely dominate it the first time out. That is not correct.
Not going to win the first time.
Yeah, it's really technical. It's not just going and bombing through elements. You need to think about where you're going. There's precise braking and acceleration that needs to be done. So typically what we see is people who will, first of all, not look ahead. So you like drive, smack at that cone that you're looking at instead of, thinking through like setting yourself up so you'll be set up for the next element. So they'll just like bomb right at that and, and then braking too late. So going late into a turn, that's always a problem. And not looking ahead.
Okay. So normal tracky stuff.
Yeah. It's very similar.
Awesome.
I think it's a little bit more impactful sometimes with autocross because, you don't have a lot of recovery time.
Right. You kind of blew the lap.
Yeah.
So is there anything safety wise that I have to bring along?
I
Or
would definitely recommend bringing a torque wrench and making sure that your wheels are torqued. I
Mhm.
would overinflate your tires just slightly. So check what they should be inflated on the door. That's
Mhm.
a good thing to do. Make sure that your seat belts are working properly. Check your tires to make sure that they're in good condition. You don't want any cracking or bubbles, or you want proper tread on
Oh
them,
yeah.
things of that nature.
Mhm. Is there
Yeah,
equipment that is
definitely helmet.
preferred to have? I mean, do some people end up having to do some, or these are pretty much just people driving to the track and then drive them home?
You see all kinds of things, but
Mm.
there's a lot of daily drivers that you'll see there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now,
You
some,
also want to bring lots of water, sunscreen, a hat, rain gear. At Devon's, I feel like it has its own weather system. So I constantly carry like 4 seasons worth of clothing, whether
Yeah.
September or August. I'm fully prepared.
Mhm.
Sunscreen is huge though, no matter what season, because you'll be out there, full on sun. So
Mhm.
sun hat, sunscreen, all of that.
heard
And also
painter's
rain
tape.
boots. If it's gonna rain, rain boots are, huge.
Yeah.
I
You
don't
can't
have
race
those.
in rain boots, obviously.
No.
No, no, you would want to change them for when you're driving.
Yeah.
You're spending the entire day outside. There's no shelter. So if it's raining, you want to keep those tootsies dry.
Mhm.
Yeah, they'd be pretty pruny by the end of the day.
Yep, not that I've ever had that happen. We had a rain event that was so bad. And actually, I think you've seen the picture of Max and the Lemons car with
Hmm.
the huge puddle coming out the side and
Oh
some one
wow.
person standing on the corner. I was the lone person standing on the corner. We were all so soaked that day. We went out to dinner
Wow.
afterwards, which is probably a mistake, but really hungry. And all four of us that went out to dinner that night, there were literally puddles under our chairs at the
Oh
bar.
no.
That was pretty
Oh
gross.
no.
And they didn't throw us out. I don't know why.
Big
Like
tippers. Big
like a bunch
tippers.
of homeless people.
Right?
Man. So, backside, what does that mean?
They
Backside
always
of
say it
the
when they see me. I don't know what they're trying to say.
um, I don't know, Bill.
I'm
Let's
leaving
say
it alone.
the time.
Leaving it alone.
What?
So many jokes.
The little time.
So many jokes, so little time, that's right.
Yeah, I don't know why they say it like that, like the backside of the cone. That's or the backside of the car. You want to especially when you're doing slaloms, like as you're turning, the rear end of the car should be like almost hitting the cone. So that should be very, very close to the cone. So you're like coming up and it's the back side that's like coming
Uh,
out.
Hmm.
That's the best explanation that I have.
thought they were complimenting me, but whatever. That's fine.
They
It's
could
good.
be, if you're not out of autocross, I would just take that as a compliment and,
Mm,
go from there.
I always do. It makes me feel better. Um, so we mentioned we went to Evo school. Is there any other education resources that people could use or read or watch or
Oh yeah. So Ross Bentley has a great book.
Mhm.
I think you've had him a guest a time or two.
Once or twice? Yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty great. There is a series called Beyond Seat Time
Hmm.
that is out there. There's tons of books. And there's that online class. There are other like Evo school type ventures that you can go on.
Okay.
Depends on what's available in your area. I would just Google it. And also, so Motorsport Reg is pretty helpful. It's motorsportreg.com. That's pretty helpful in finding events. And I guess there's a new one called Track Rabbit, which is also you can search for events on that.
You know what I did find out though, when the Beyond Seat Time course,
Mhm.
even after 5 years of having it, if you don't actually read it, it doesn't help you. I did the test I can verify.
Hmm.
I have a similar experience.
Mm.
Yeah. But other people, as I've talked to them, have told me certain things that have come out of that for them, which seem to be really, really useful.
Mm.
It's very well done.
Mm. Yeah, you actually have to read them or watch
Yeah.
them or
Yeah.
whatever. Much like Ross Bentley's books, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that hit two people right in the eye.
Well, right there, right on my nightstand.
Okay.
All right.
That spot is not dusty.
Captain's log supplemental.
Hey, Jeremy, you know those race cars you're busy building?
Yeah, I do. I
You,
got one that I'm looking at every day.
you know what I don't see you working on?
You don't see me working on the amazing Sentinel system yet.
That's true. It would take all of 10 minutes for you to have one.
And it's very quick and easy to install.
It is. It is. And we could watch you when we are not at the race with you and see how you're doing. And then we can call you up when you get out of the car and tell you everything you did wrong.
And I love that because so many years I've been driving and not been able to see what I'm doing.
I know.
And now we can.
I know. You know what I'd like to do with the video? My most favorite thing is I take the video and I load it on YouTube and then I send it to my coach and say, look at 26 minutes and 17 seconds. Look at this one lap and tell me what I can do better. And every single time, you know what they say?
Everything.
Exactly. Precisely. So with the Sentinel system, you get instantaneous feedback plus useful feedback that unfortunately is accurate for my driving.
I think it's accurate for all of our driving.
Pretty much. Yeah, that's probably true. Yep. But you need to get one in your car, sir.
Yes, I do. And with the discount code that you're going to tell everybody, they can save 10% on this awesome system.
Yep. Trouble free. I haven't had an issue getting video every time we've gone out with the Sentinel. It's always worked. Can't say the same for some of the other systems we've tried. So I don't know. It's on the podcast notes down there. Don't do it while you're driving, though. We like to have our listeners live. It's good.
What is like a recommended car?
So again,
Autocross.
it's personal preference. Like you need to decide what you're comfortable with, and then you can spec it out how you want. So, you're a Miata person, so then I would look at, how the Miata could be built to be competitive in that class.
Mm-hmm.
I have an M2 that I autocross, so I've done minimal things to it because I don't want to be bumped up in class with that because I don't think that is competitive against Corvettes and Porsches. I'd rather stay in the class that I'm in with it basically stock.
Right. And of course there are setups for autocross.
Mm-hmm.
So
What's the hot tire, Audra? I want the hot one.
For my car, it's the Bridgestone's RE71 RSs. Pretty happy with those. Some people that run like Falcon Azenas. There is, oh my God, you think I would know this by now.
Nexon, I think, is one.
Yep. There's other like really popular tires that I just like my brain is shot.
Is the
that's
and I know for endurance racing, the Continental, I think it's the Extreme Contact Sport, I think.
Yeah, I tried those for autocross and I didn't like them.
No.
I think some of the Porsches run them. But you'd want like an extreme high performance summer tire.
Yeah. Is there any cool telemetry stuff? You know how I like my gadgets, Audra.
There are gadgets, and there are people who use gadgets, and there are people who look at the data. And there's all these things that I don't use.
Okay. All right.
So I cannot advise you on that, but I can tell you that there's plenty of things out there that will record the autocross and will show you, run by run, the graphic lines of where you are and, what the speed is, and you can compare. each run. So you can really analyze, how you're doing and do it differently to do it better. So yes, there are things available that are
Okay.
very good.
You can go as deep as you wish, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Are there all is there different types of autocross? Now, I know we talked about tracks and stuff like that. And is there like hybrid autocross? And the only reason why I'm saying this is because I watched online somebody do what looked like a micro autocross, where it looked like it was just a lot of drifting included with autocross.
Well, there is specifically like drifting events that you can do that would look similar to autocross.
Okay.
It's a somewhat of a different skill. I
Mhm.
haven't tried it. It looks like fun.
It was so small. It looked like maybe not like half a basketball court, or
Hmm.
maybe, it was
Yeah.
small, and a lot of it was just micro micro moves and spinning your car around these little tiny, really, really tight course. It was
Is it
nuts.
like
I
a
don't know if there's a
gymkhana kind
special
of
name
thing?
to it.
Was it like a gymkhana that you watched?
I don't know, but I just remember it was a guy in a Miata, and honestly, I know that they had like a single cone that they drifted around.
Yeah, that would not be autocross. There would be some other type of event.
Yeah, it
That's
looked
right.
like a hybrid because they still had boxes they had to go into and back out again, and then they had to like a reverse drift around a cone and go in and out of other cones, and then but they used multiple boxes and multiple. It wasn't just going driving around a course; it was the course overlapped itself. So it was kind of when I get a chance, I'll send it over to you, but it looked nuts.
Yeah, to me
And
that sounds like gymkhana, which I've watched a bunch of. It looks like an extreme amount of skill is needed for that. And it
oh
looks
yeah,
fun.
And a tire sponsor.
And a tire sponsor, yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, but that would not be autocross.
Okay. I'm gonna have to look that up. Gymkhana.
Who, if this sounded like fun to somebody and they wanted to get started, because this is kind of like one of the easier ways to get started with less required, how would they find something locally or nationally to go do this?
Google,
A
I would
fancy
look
word, huh?
to, any of the motorsport regs, sites like that. Maybe see if it's like if you're into BMWs, look at your local BMW chapter. They can direct you there. Porsche Miata, the same thing.
Mhm.
With it, there's some great Reddit threads out there for autocross. So all of those resources would help you to find something locally.
Right. And if it's a Porsche club or a BMW club, that doesn't mean you can only bring a Porsche or a BMW in most cases. So they'll be okay with it.
Yeah, luckily for us, here, oops, and I just kicked my dog in the head. Luckily for
Eh,
us here, there's a lot of cross pollination, so um, most of the clubs allow other vehicles, which
Mhm.
is pretty cool.
Okay.
I like that.
So I was lucky enough to be your instructor when you're first going out on track. I believe it was your first time on track, maybe. It was early. What did autocross help you with that helped you on track? And what would help you as a track driver if that's what you're interested in? Why would you go cross train with autocross?
So autocross allows you to go 10 tenths or 11 tenths. You can really push your car harder than you would at track. So
Hmm.
you will learn car control and you learn
Hmm.
the limit. Like you can go to the limit and there's very few repercussions to that. You can find out where your spin is if you reach the limits of both your capabilities and the car's capabilities. It's a great place to do that because you can really push it to the ultimate limit, which I don't think you would want to do, fresh out on a track.
Mm-mm.
Your instructor definitely wouldn't want you to do that.
Mm-mm.
No. Um, I think the thing that makes it better is you're usually out in the open, generically open, and you're not going that fast. Like you're not doing.
Right. So our site limits, for us, it's like 65 is the site limit. But you're, you will quickly find out what oversteer feels like, what understeer feels like. What I know when the tires like push, like when you don't have enough grip to do something, like what that feels like.
Mhm.
And I think it's a lot harder to reach that limit when you're on a track. It's a little more scary at 120 miles an hour than it is at 60 miles an hour.
Yeah. And, energy goes up by velocity squared. So for the nerds at home, it matters a lot.
So, what about goals for the season when it comes to autocross or in other types of series? Are
So
there certain
for a lot of the series, they do like annual championships. So for BMW Club, you have to do four events to qualify for the year. And if you take, first place out of all of those, you could come in first place for the season. SCCA does something similar. So they'll do awards rate for that particular event, but there's also seasonal awards with jackets and trophies and things of that nature. So if you're looking to compete at that level, there's plenty of competition out there
So what's your goals for the season?
to go.
That's good.
That's just getting out the door with the schedules that we're keeping. Oh my Lord.
Yeah. So I just went to my second autocross for the season, and just for reference, we're close to the end of May as you're recording this. And normally by now I'd have like 8 to 10 events in. But I did Lemons already. We're preparing for our next Lemons event. I did Vicky and I did that competition school.
So much fun.
Oh, that was so great. I did an SCCA race. So I completed my first clean race for SCCA for sprint racing. So
Where was
only
that?
2 more to go before I'll be fully licensed. So that really has eaten into my autocrossing time, which
Now
is
we have,
sad.
oh, go ahead. No, go ahead. I was going off topic. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. It's just, it's hard to juggle. Like there's so many fun things out there. You can't do them all. But
Why
autocross
not?
is definitely something that I'm trying to
We-
make time for and trying to get to as much events as I can.
Why can't we do them all?
Right.
2
Well,
jobs, things like that.
it's called burnout. So on your story time, a little bit a personal dive on it that you made that initial transition, the initial transition over from autocross into stepping into the car. How different was that? And what did you utilize and what did you have to get rid of your
So,
skills?
I have some bad habits from motocross that translate into bad habits at the track. I tend to dive, stab, and turn, which is not good in either. So that's something that, I've been working on for both types of events, being smoother, making sure I'm looking ahead more, braking like smoother for track. So for autocross, like it's a much harder braking. For track, it doesn't tend to be as hard. If you do it as hard, you could get into trouble, I think. So yeah, there's transferable skills, which would be just the general car control, and then transferable unskill.
Yeah,
Challenges.
yeah.
It's fine. Well, Vicky went one way. I'm going the other way. Audra, you've autocrossed for a few times. We need at least 3 good stories, autocross stories.
Oh gosh.
You can go as high as you want. We're here all day. We got lots of tape in this machine. We're good.
Well, I can tell you about the time that I was halfway through a run and I'm like, what the hell is that noise? And I look down and my helmet is rolling around on the passenger side. Apparently I forget to put it on and the starter didn't see it either.
Whoops.
Oh no.
There was also the time that I was having some problems. This is such a huge problem. The hub was wrecked on my Mini and the lug nuts kept like backing out on me. So I
Mhm.
had my torque wrench with me at all times, and I would retorque them after every run. Well, I got in the car and I stuck it in the pocket on the door. And as I was
Oh,
driving,
no.
it started working its way out there. So I just grabbed it and handed it to my passenger and still continued to drive it. I
Oh,
won't tell you,
wow.
those words are not appropriate for a child-friendly show, but there
Mhm.
were some words that were said there by the passenger, not by me.
Mm,
Um,
I could see that.
yeah. I had a friend, same thing. She was out there, in her Porsche, and there was a massive clunking noise in the back of her car. And the instructor who was with her looked back and said, "Oh, you have a lawn chair."
Oh, no.
So I guess the story within the story is, check your car for random items and make sure that you've cleaned it out
Mm-hmm.
appropriately.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and clean out your glove box, because I did have it so full at one point that it popped open in the middle of a run and just shit flew just everywhere.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was fun.
Confetti.
But no real damage to the cars when they go on.
No, I've
Um,
seen very, very few things that have happened that actually damaged a car. We've had some people that went off the track and debeaded their tires, and they
Mhm.
had to, tow it out. I've seen that happen twice,
Mhm.
which so that it's very rare. We've had it's just there's very few issues. We're lucky to be at a site that's so wide open and so safe. I've gone off many a time. I had some co-drivers go off so badly that there was mud where there should not be any mud in a
Oh, wow.
BMW.
Oh no.
Even, nothing happened. It's just you got to clean your car when you get home. That plastic under tray, the
Mhm.
protective under tray on the BMWs, I can't even tell you how many of those I've had to purchase. The one on my current car, we put it on the lift this past weekend, and it actually has chunks out of it. So there's a
It's light weighting.
cost. What's
Light,
that?
it's light weighting.
Yeah.
It's engineered to be light, So, Miss Audra, I've got an idea.
Oh,
Let's go to nationals next summer.
okay. We'll have to really plan the season around that because we'll need some practice.
Yeah.
And I've never been, but the stories that people have told me, I guess, get your belly ready because there's some good food.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. We have been
And there was
invited.
a dust storm one year. They were
Mhm.
actually wearing masks because the dust was so bad. And then on other years, there's been torrential rains where they're driving through, lakes.
Mm.
It sounds like a perfect day. It sounds like pit race every year.
Right? Except,
Ugh.
yeah.
Pit race. Oh.
Miss Vicky's driven in snow and sleet and rain and 90-degree sun.
It's all good.
And that was the same weekend.
Mhm.
Oh, well, I've never been to Nebraska, so I think it would be super fun and it's a good goal.
Okay. We're going to add that to our goals.
You gonna drive the M2 with me? Is that what we're gonna do?
We need at least 2 cars. Can we share cars? How many people could share?
Just two, I believe. I
Okay.
don't know the rules for that.
Well, we'll probably talk Jennifer into it. So we'll bring 2 cars. We'll bring the M2 and Vicky's Integra.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, Bill, I think if we're gonna do this, you and I should co-drive and then
Ugh.
compete against each other.
That I would enjoy nothing more. Audra's gonna kick my butt so bad.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Girl is trained.
I
I
know.
don't know if that's the case.
You are a badass.
So this is what's gonna happen. It's gonna be just like her first trip to Thompson. She's gonna do like, let's just say that the lap is 2 minutes. It's not. I know exactly what it was. So a lap's 2 minutes. So she does her entire stint. She's doing like 210, 212, 210, 212, 220 if she got stuck in traffic, whatever. And then next to the last lap, she goes 2 flat. And then the next lap's 210, 210. She's got to get her flyer. It's just the way Audra runs. She's an autocross girl from way back. She just,
Mhm.
I only need 1 run. That's all I need.
That is a true thing. I lie. I've been called out on that at autocross because how just this whole day has just been crap. And then the last run, I somehow managed to pull my head out of you know what and actually bring in a decent time.
Mm.
You need.
She's like, why would I waste another fast lap when I've already got one? It's done.
Tires are expensive. Might as well
I
just
know.
tootle around, you
I
know.
know. I know.
Right.
Well, we have the beginnings of a plan.
At the beginning,
Yeah.
you didn't say hold my beer, so
No,
maybe it's a good
Well,
plan.
I never say hold my beer. I say hold my Slurpee or hold my Powerade or whatever. It's fine. All right, we'll put that on our goals for the season, and
Yeah.
we'll be returning to this. We have to remember to put that on for goals for 2025.
Yeah, we need to make a plan to actually get to some autocross so we have some practice.
Indeed, I had
No.
plans, and then they fell apart.
They kind of blew up. We this year, this year and last year have been pretty tough with just extra
Mostly-
obligations that kind of pop up.
This year's worse. I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I went to the track, I don't know, 15 times during COVID. Now there's no COVID. I've been to the track. Have I been to the track?
Still waiting.
I haven't been on track yet.
No.
Well,
No.
you know, it's really easy when everything else was shut down.
Yeah, it was great. The only thing that sucked about it, I'm driving home from Mid Ohio, and I call Vicky and I say, "Hey, I'm running low on gas," and I get off at the. This is like in the middle of COVID or kind of towards the beginning of COVID, and I get off and all the gas stations are closed. It's like 10 o'clock at night, and they're
Oh my
closed.
gosh.
And I'm like, I got one more try because I did all the gas stations I knew at the one exit, and middle of Pennsylvania is kind of like a food barren desert and limited gas. So I get off at the next exit and it's like 5 to 11 and the thing closes at 11. And I'm like, if they let me in, I'm getting gas. If not, I'm going to sleep here until the morning because I can't make it anywhere further. And I'll just be first in line. And luckily they let me get in. They're like, what kind of diesel you want? I'm like, the kind that's in the other side. I need the gas. So I did make it home.
Oh my gosh.
But
COVID. What a weird time.
it was craziness. So, did we miss anything, Audra? Did we forget something? Oh, we have to put numbers on our cars, right?
Oh yeah, you absolutely have to have numbers. Those are usually reserved. There's also, you know, we should mention too that it's a pretty low cost thing. I mean, you
Oh
can use
yeah. Let's
the
go over call.
driver. You know, you're looking at like $35 to maybe $60 for a day of autocross. And, you know, it's the whole day and people are very, very social. So it's a huge social event. You know, when people ask me about doing autocross, I tell them, you know, some people golf. I go to an airfield and drive around cones as fast as I can.
Mm-hmm.
But the
It's almost
social
the same.
aspect is, yeah, it is. It's pretty much the same. And it's such a low cost activity. You got the wear and tear on the car is pretty minimal. I mean, you're going to go through brakes and tires basically. When I had my mini, you know, I went through motor mounts, but that was, you know, a mini problem, not a universal problem. And it'll get dirty.
Mm-hmm.
You may get some tire marks on your car, so you want to, you know, have something good to clean that off with.
Well, I think not only does Vicky and I have to get to a autocross this season, we've been planning it for 2 straight, and I think this is year 3 straight. I think we need to go up to see Miss Audra if we can,
I think that would be awesome.
or meet in the middle or
Absolutely.
something. Who knows? We'll figure something out. We
I
just
actually
need.
know a club that gives a free event to people who have never run with them before.
Well, I mean,
We'll talk about low cost.
that's pretty low. The only problem is, as you well know, we don't live near each other.
Mm.
So anyway, well, that was fun.
Yeah, I like riding with Audra.
No, that's true.
It's a vibe thing.
You guys
It's a
could do an
girl thing.
autocross, then do the rally, then get back and do the next autocross.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
That would be fun. Maybe I'll talk
After
to
I
Jeff,
get-
see if we can get an autocross into the rally.
After we get Mia done and out of school, and after this race, I got to work on my SCCA stuff.
Mm-hmm. We do not lack of things that we need to do, my dear.
Yeah,
No,
you're planning on going to Thompson for SCCA, right?
I can. Yeah.
You're doing
That's one of the closer ones for us, actually.
Yeah. I have
So-
to go in and see all my whole list.
When's the next one at Thompson?
You have to look.
That's fine. We can
See,
do that post pod.
yeah.
Miss Audra, thank you for coming on talking autocross with us, because somebody had to know what we were talking about, because it's not us yet. We're still
Thanks
working
for
on it.
having me. You know, I was a little light on the details tonight. Blame
That's fine.
fatigue, but
You know
yeah,
more about it
everybody
than
should do autocross. You know, it definitely improves your car control skills. And it's fun. It's so fun.
well, my dear. Thank you. If anybody wants a list of various things to pack in their autocross dedicated box, I know of a certain podcast that you used to host that has a great list there that I have converted into my Clear app right here. All of them. Get this list. Miss Audra, thank you for coming on.
Thank you.